flops way. But on this road to success, ain't no stops made. Ain't no room for doubt either, so you must believe. Cause the way I feel it, ain't no limits but the speed. I trust in me and put my faith in God.
Welcome on into Booby's World with Cavs legend Daniel Booby Gibson and, of course, Rafa El Hernandez. What's going on, guys?
Let's go. Hey, Rafa, I saw you listening to that intro music. You like that?
Yeah,
huh?
man. That was you?
It's growing on him. That's mine.
You?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's pretty good. I like that beat. Yeah, I'm serious.
I see it. It grows on him every time. I've been watching.
I actually put the headphones on. I was like, I never heard you open yet.
Yeah, but nah, it's been good, man. It's been good.
That's sick.
Yeah, summer's starting to get more into like the off-season part of basketball, the scouting, the rest of the playoffs, and just hanging out, relaxing a little bit.
So the playoffs are rolling on. Does it make it any easier for any of us knowing that some of the other top seeds around the NBA have also been eliminated? We look, Milwaukee Bucks were a first-round exit, the Memphis Grizzlies, the Sacramento Kings, all top seeds in the NBA eliminated. Yeah. Does it make it any easier for our pain of healing the wounds of what we went through with our Cavs?
Well, it's going to make it easy, I feel like, for the fans that be ready to just push that panic button. They can all see that everybody got to go through it. But for me, I already knew that the process was still getting started. I knew these guys were still going to have to grow. I knew that there was levels that they were going to have to get to. And the only way that they were going to begin to reach those goals was to go through some failure, go through some pain, go through some hurt. So I figured that was going to be the case. I thought it would come a little bit later, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I know there's still a lot more growing for these guys to do.
I don't think it makes it any easier. I think it just reaffirms the nature of sports and what it is, and it's all about. On paper, man, everything is so boring, right? On paper, the Bucks should still be in the playoff, and then you have to play the game. Yeah, and that's why you play the game. So it doesn't make it any easier because it doesn't mean that we go back into the playoff because now Milwaukee's out or Memphis out. We're still out, and it still sucks. But again, repeating it, you know, I'm still looking forward for what's next for this group of guys who have brought this franchise back to a very respectable position. And that's all I can say about that.
You guys think that this is good for the game? I mean, I think a lot of fans are probably down with this, that some of the top seeds, Milwaukee, who's been there in the East year in and year out, I think it shows a little parity in the league. A lot of people kind of like that.
Yeah, no, I think it's great for the game of basketball. Like, you would hate for just all of the top teams to always win. Like, where would the underdogs be? And that's what I feel like a lot of fans relate to. Like, you want to see the 8 seed come from the play-in game and knock off the top-seeded Bucks. Like, that's the entertainment value. And you see a guy like Jimmy Butler, who's another underdog type of talent, go off for 56 and will his team to a win. And I feel like that's the type of playoff basketball that you want to see. And now we set up for, a Knicks Miami Heat series that's going to be a 90s type of 90s type of basketball. So I feel like we're getting all of that. And then tonight I'm looking forward to that LeBron and Steph, you know what I mean? So we're getting all of the matchups we want to see, all of the competition at its highest level. So I think the parity is great, and you want to see some of the top dogs get knocked off.
Of course, it's good for the game. I think it's everybody talks about, obviously, LeBron at 38.
Yeah, right? I really
Curry's
30,
man.
31.
He just put a 50 on a game 7 on the road. Right. I mean, he's 35 years old. He's not like that young kid that we used to see here. I mean,
he just looks like it. He just looks like it.
And he just did something that nobody has ever done before.
Hey,
and again, it's about the superstars becoming super, and that's where the legends are born, and that is what you have to go through to get through it, right?
I was just about to say it. Like, they have to, in my opinion, they're going to have to start speaking Steph's name when they start talking about the greatest players to ever play the game. I know you want to stop at LeBron, you want to stop at Mike, stop at Kobe, stop at Wilt, Kareem, but the way that Steph is able, like you just said, at 35, He ain't never been the bounciest athlete you ever seen or the quickest guy to get by you, but the fact that he's been able to sustain this level of greatness for all of these years at these championships at a 6'2" frame that just comes straight from working.
And the most important about it, Booby, and you would appreciate this, revolutionizing the game. He totally changed the game with his shooting.
Absolutely.
And I know you appreciate that. And as much as I hate it because he's not on my team, I have to appreciate the fact that we are witnessing greatness in different forms, because he's like a playmaker.
Yes.
He's different style, Michael or LeBron and all that, but doesn't mean that he cannot carry a team all the way out to kissing Larry O'Brien.
And he's the first superstar that we've seen that the shooting aspect of his game is really the marquee of his game, because before
and he developed that game.
Exactly. He changed that, because before we had guys, let's look at Cleveland, Mark Price, good, not an all-time basketball great.
Sure.
In this city, for sure, Booby Gibson. In this city, an all-time great, but all-time. But now you have Steph has shown that over the years has carried his team as a shooter, as a playmaker, as a facilitator. So I'm with you. I think we definitely do as the years go on, and I think history will treat Steph Curry very, very nicely.
I hope so.
Watch teams next year. Already I saw it in a game last night where the inbound play from the baseline, and the guy the Aaron Fox was playing under the basket, and Curry just put the ball inbound, jumping play, and shot the three.
I mean, it's like
it's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable, man. And for that kid, like when you watch Steph play, you look at his size and his stature. You used to the LeBrons jumping over you and the Jordans jumping over, and you feel like, man, I can do that. You know what I mean? You feel like you see guys at LA Fitness going out there thinking they can do that. You know what I'm saying? And that's what Steph just makes us all feel like we could be great, man. And even off the floor, he's an even better guy, man. So kudos to him, man. Praise to the guy.
And what an inspirational story, too. You know, you talk about, I could be like that. I mean, from Davidson. You know, he didn't go to Duke. He didn't go to Kentucky. I mean, from Davidson. It's like, this is possible.
There was no jersey his size when he was in college, man.
The shorts didn't fit.
The small jersey fit. It was big on him.
His shorts didn't fit. I remember watching him kill the NCAA tournament. His pants was falling down every time he made a shot. They didn't even have his size. But that goes to tell you about the legend of Steph Curry, man, and just kudos to him. I think he's inspired an entire generation of kids to feel like they can play professional basketball, man. That's what it's all about. He's transcended the game.
Yeah, you go to courts anywhere and you see kids just chucking threes. I mean, that's all they want to do.
Say all you want about him, man. He's still missing that ring in 2016. 73 don't mean a thing without the ring.
Rob, 73 and 9, and they lie.
We still taking shots over here in Booby's world, baby.
Alrighty, we are going to kick it to our first commercial break. When we come back, we're going to introduce a new segment to the show. I think the people are going to like this one, so stay with us. Alrighty, welcome on back into Booby's World. Welcome to our new segment, which we call Booby for 3.
Shoot it, Booby! We need that audio, man. We need that audio. Somebody's going, shoot it, Booby!
Put it on the platter. That's the new one, right? Serve it up.
I like Rolos.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the little
tea bag.
Yes, so many variations. We can play the guitar. Let's go.
So in this segment, every week we are going to rank your guys' top 3 of whatever we decide to do. So this week, obviously, the playoffs roll on. Let's rank the top 3 teams remaining in these NBA playoffs. Booby, we'll start with you. Give me your top 3 teams remaining.
Man, put me on the hot seat. All right, well, going into the playoffs, I think I went with Philly. I felt like Embiid and Harden, I feel like this was their year, and Harden proved it again last night with a virtuoso performance, going for 45 and willing that team to win without Embiid. So hopefully Embiid can get back healthy. I'm going to go Philly, 1. I'm going to go, let's go Steph, 2. Just because I just feel like when the Warriors get to the playoffs, they just turn into a totally different machine. I feel like they've just
we talked about it. Nobody wants to face it.
They saw everything you could throw at them. They've been there and done that. So I'm going to go Golden State, 2. And then to round it up, I was hating on the Nuggets. I was on the train to Phoenix fast. And, I mean, they showed it at home. Phoenix got a lot of work to do going back to the Valley of the Sun. But I'm going to go with Denver at 3 just because they've proven that they're a true number 1 seed right now.
Raf, do you have your top 3 teams in these playoffs?
You know, I'm totally going way different than Booby, because I think Denver has to continue being my number 1 team because of what they did in the regular season, because what they have done in the playoff, and they have taken care of business. It's not like, you know, they were ranked 1, they eliminated the 8 seeds like they should have on paper.
I think I'm on the NBA
and
on the
at
NBA
home,
train.
they look good, and that's what a home team does. You know, they really took care of Phoenix in both games, and now with Chris Paul being injured, I don't know if down or out for the count, but I still go with Denver. My number 2 team, I gotta give it to Philly from what they showed, you know, last night. Even though it was against Boston, who has had issues, you know, going the length against Atlanta, and then, you know, losing again at home against the Sixers without Joel Embiid. Obviously, the beer was on fire and fuego.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
With 45,
a lot to prove.
Yeah, so I'll give it to Philly on number 2, and at 3, I'll reserve the right to name number 3 the winner of the Lakers-Warriors series.
Rob, I don't know if we're allowed to do that.
Because, you know, Miami, New York,
Yeah,
I don't think they're out there at 3.
I could have went with the King, but I took it.
I'm saying both teams could be.
So I could be like, oh, maybe Tatum.
Because,
maybe.
and I tell you what, because for so long here last week, and when we talk about the Cavs, we talk about that war experience and being there, done that. Mm-hmm. Curry has a lot more help when it comes to that than LeBron does in the play. I know what the King can do, and I know we always used to say, hey, you know what, we got LeBron and they don't. Yeah. It's still the same. LeBron is still LeBron. But, you know, with Draymond and Clay and Curry and Steve Kerr, and so the differences and the balance tilts a little bit to what you said, to the Warriors.
Sound like you rocking with me. Or
no. I agree with you, but I'm saying I reserve the right because I still have seen it in person what LeBron can do, and you have.
No,
so,
for sure.
You know, it's hard to say to not put my money or some of it on Bron, but we've been saying it in this show. It's hard to go against a Warriors team in the playoff because they have been there, they have done that. They just came from winning a Game 7 on the road, and you know. What we said in the first segment with Steph, it's
for sure.
Ralph, I'll say this. I'll let it slide this time. I'll let it slide this time. But this segment is called Booby for 3. Not Booby for 3 or 4. You gotta pick a 3.
Not Booby for a 3+1 or maybe. Nah, we gotta go all in, baby.
All right.
Yeah, we'll let it slide this time.
Shoot.
Yeah, we'll let it slide this time.
Booby for 2.5.
Gotta take the shot, right? Gotta take it.
Alrighty, we are going to snag another commercial break, and then we are going to go around the NBA, lock in our picks. We just gave you who the guys have as their top 3 teams remaining, but let's actually go definite. Rob, I'm putting you on the spot here and make some predictions for this thing. Stay with us.
You can't be picking both teams, Rob.
Yeah. And there's waves over there on the lake.
Alrighty, welcome on back in to Booby's World. Let's go around the NBA and lock in some selections. We'll take a look at this Boston versus Philly. Currently, the 76ers are up 1-0 in this series. You guys talked about it. James Harden went absolutely galactic in Game 1. What a performance. For the Sixers to win that game without Embiid, do you guys think that was a fluke, or could Boston really be in a little bit of trouble here once Embiid could find his way back onto the floor?
I think they're in trouble because of what they have shown. Yeah, Boston, because of what they have shown in the playoff. Now, you have to consider that we still don't know the whole story with Joel Embiid's knee.
Right, that's
right. Remember Kawhi was being listed as out for a while, and then once they were eliminated, he got a torn meniscus, and so I still don't know what the severity of Joel Embiid's injury is. So I don't think they can do that without Embiid the whole series. A game is a game. Now it comes the game of adjustments. Now it comes the fact that the Celtics have also been there before. I mean, they were just in the finals last year, so they know what adversity looks like and sounds like and how to react to it.
Yep.
But if I have to make a decision, since you guys are forcing my hand here,
There we go.
Nah, you can pick them
go.
both. You can
and
be
I'm
like,
gonna
maybe,
go with my
maybe.
gut here, for knowing what each team has done before, and I still think the Celtics can pull this series out, even after losing home court advantage.
Ooh, hot take. Well, I mean, I feel like the series it all falls on the health of Joe. You know, if he could come back and be healthy, I feel like with now them taking that game in Philly, I mean in Boston now holds a lot more weight, because now Joe comes back, you got to deal with him, and you got to deal with him in Philly. So I feel like if Joe's able to come back healthy, yeah, but without a healthy Joel Embiid, even if he has to sit maybe 1 or 2 more games, like you just said, Boston is also season 2. They did just come off of a title run, so I don't think losing a game at home, they're hitting the panic button at all. I think they understand what this is all about. They know every single game is going to be a different game, and just like Philly came in and took one, I feel like just like they went to Atlanta and took one, they feel like they can go to Philly and take one as well. So I'm not counting Boston out. And just like I picked Philly to start this entire thing off, I hope that Joe can come back healthy.
I hope so. Yeah.
That's really what it all depends
Yeah, and
on, is if he could come back.
Because remember, if Embiid shows up as well, when Embiid comes back, Harden is not getting. He's gonna have to share that.
Yeah, but that's what
shot selection.
But see, that's the beauty of what Harden just said the other day. People jump on his back and they be like, "Is he the Houston Rockets?" Harden?
Yeah.
And he came out and said, "I still got all that in my bag." But what I've understood is with playing with. What I'm hoping is the MVP tonight, Joel. I'm still on the MVP Joe bandwagon.
Be disappointed tonight, Booby.
Give my boy his hardware. If MVP Joe can come back, I think Harden is perfectly fine with doing what he's done all year.
I think that's what he needs to do.
Yeah,
for the Sixers to continue advancing.
Control the flow, and when they need him to make shots like he did last night in the biggest moments, step up and be who you are. But we don't need him to get 40 a night no more.
I mean, I was one of those people. I thought the Houston James Harden was gone.
Yeah,
I didn't know that he still had that in him. And surely enough, like you said, he gave that quote and then he delivered that he still had that in his bag for sure. Another thing that went down in that game is PJ Tucker and his teammate Paul Reed got into a little dust up. Doc Rivers, kind of interesting, you know, a guy that's been around the block. He said that was close to excessive, the argument that they got into on the sideline. Booby, where do you draw that line? Obviously, Reed responded very well after that. Where do you draw the line of trying to fire a teammate up versus maybe taking things a step too far?
Well, I mean, at no point should it ever get physical. Y'all should never get to the hands, but there's certain environments where a guy could just have that deer in headlights look, and you gotta like snap him out of it. You gotta let him know, like, look, like we're here together. And some guys respond to different energy in a different way. But I feel like in that moment, I played with PJ Tucker. And I'm talking about practice, games, you getting the same guy. He leaving it on the floor every single possession. So when a guy is illustrating it every time he on the floor, when he come to you and say something, you're going to respect it. You're going to be less likely to respond in a way that, you know, where you want to fight him back. You're going to try to join in and try to help him win because you know he's about the right things. And I just feel like PJ Tucker is an example of that, of a workhorse, and having that mentality. So I feel like he did the right thing. It didn't look excessive because me knowing PJ Tucker, excessive, Paul Reed would have been flipped out of that chair. There would have been a misunderstanding and some furniture moving. But I don't think he got to that point. He stayed seated, but he let him know that we're in a big game. This is a big moment right now, and I need you to tell me that you got my help. Like, I don't need to. I got to hear you tonight. This can't be a night. This is not a night for mistakes.
Good stuff. Let's head to Miami. The Heat are up in this series 1-0 against the New York Knicks. Guys, we got to talk about it. What did the Heat do against the Knicks that the Cavs didn't? What makes this different that the Heat find themselves up 1-0?
Well, I think they used their guards a little more up top against Bronson than we did. We used our bigs, and obviously, you know, Jimmy Butler played Jimmy Butler ball, and Kyle Lowry played Kyle Lowry ball coming off the bench. And again, we go back to the same thing, man. The experience, the been there, the seasoned guys. You know, Kevin Love came in and got some rebounds, and got some touchdown assists that we were so used to seeing. And I don't know, man. I don't know if it has anything to do with Lonzo Mourning and Van Gundy being in the building, or But everything. It's the whole group, coaching, playing, fans. The Heat is a more seasoned, and it's a system that has been around for a longer time than ours have.
That Heat culture, man. I think
say.
it means something. And as I was watching that game, maybe I took for granted a little bit how much that experience matters. But I was watching, I'm like, you look at this game, right? I'm like, Kyle Lowry, been to the finals, won a finals. Kevin Love, won a finals. Obviously went to 4 straight with Bron. Jimmy Butler's been in this moment several times. Bam's been in this moment several times. And I'm like, damn, top down, this roster has been there. So I think that's kind of the difference, right, Boo?
Yeah, there's a common theme here. When you get to the playoffs, the things that takes you to that next level is experience. All the teams we just talked about. We talked about the Warriors advancing, talked about the Lakers advancing, talking about the Heat advancing. All of these guys have guys on their teams that have been through those wars and understand what they all about. And so that's what it comes down to. Just being there and having that experience, letting that in those tough moments keep you calm and help you win ball games. And I feel like that was the only difference.
And you're gonna see the bigger difference even now in Game 2 when you see the Heat adjusting and the Knicks kind of figure out. I don't know if Randall or what's the status on Randall and Jimmy Butler is, but for sure it's a whole different series if Himi can't go for the Heat.
Right.
I mean you can actually just change everything we just talked about. Because even with all that experience that they have, when you take a piece away, like Jimmy Butler from the Heat.
For sure.
You're talking not only the points, the talent, the defense, but you're talking heart.
That's their identity.
I mean, you're punching everybody on that team in the gut.
Well, speaking of the heart, I mean, I think a lot of people thought the Suns had a new heart when they got Kevin Durant at that deadline. They find themselves in a 2-0 deficit against those Denver Nuggets. Guys, what could the Nuggets do to put away this series? On the inverse, more importantly, is there anything the Suns can do to reverse this 2-0?
Can they still get Mikal Bridges? No.
So wait, is CP in or out, or do we not know?
Yeah, I don't know, but he looked
pretty
he
bad.
looked like he jumped. He hurt himself jumping in the groin.
Yeah,
a groin pull. So I don't
Man,
know. I don't know how.
Yeah,
but
we talk a lot. We've talked a lot on this show about experience, but I think one thing that you can't forget that you need in the playoffs is luck and health. Like all of these teams you are one injury away from not being the same team and not having a chance to go to the next round. So I don't know who the Suns plug in right there. I mean, going. The one thing about the playoffs again is until you lose on your home court, it's still life. There's still a series. The series hasn't started yet. So I feel like if the Suns can go home and find a way to protect home court, and like you said, that heart that they just added to that roster, he's still there. And he has potential to, just like James Harden and just like any of these other guys, have lit it up. Him and Booker have the option, like most don't, to light it up. So hopefully they can get home and find that range. But Denver's looking real formidable right now. So if you were asking me to take my pick in that series, I feel like Denver are playing really, really well just as a collective unit. And it's going to be tough for the Suns, regardless of how much firepower they have to put that fire out.
And I think when you look at the bench scoring, which is something that hurt the Cavs during the series, when Durant and Booker get 6 points of help from the bench, man, and
that's tough.
Like we talked about it here last week. There's no way the Suns are gonna make it long with Durant and Booker playing 44 minutes a game. I know they're superstars. I know that, but the body's not made to do that every other night.
Nah, that's tough. That's tough.
So and when you have a Nikola Jokic, who my boy here, Booby, trying to take the third in a row away, when the way he affects the game, he's not that powerful pivot that he's gonna like run people over, but his passings, his view of the game, and his IQ, his ability, and he hits the three, and he has Ayton looking for answers, man. He hasn't found one.
The thing that people got to understand about the Joker is because he's handling the ball from the top of the floor, he makes your entire team have to consistently work. And so that 44 minutes you're talking about for KD is not just standing and working to get a shot.
Yeah.
Now on the other end, you got Gordon cutting back door, setting the screen on this side, coming off of the handoff, and everybody's live because you got a guy with the ball that can see over everything and probably saw it two moments before you saw it. It can make the pass from anywhere on the floor. So Joker is dangerous, and I'm not trying to take his MVP away. Embiid is taking his MVP away.
Murray's playing great,
He was the leading scorer. I'm telling you, it's not Bubble Murray. I know they try to give him that tag like that was the only time he's been good. Yeah. He's been good for a long time. And just like some of these other guys, we got to give the guys the credit they deserve. I'm here to give flowers. And if Murray keeps this up, he deserves his flowers.
He has one of the nicest jump shots I ever seen.
And, I'm a sucker for a beautiful jump shot.
He kind of floats at the top of he jumped and wait till he get to the top of his jump shot, and then he's like,
bang. Yes, sir.
It's such a pretty shot he has.
Yeah, man. I love to see pretty jump shots. He definitely has one.
Alrighty, well, we'll wrap things up. Talk about dangerous people. Steph Curry, LeBron James. That one goes down, and I think the eyeballs of America are really going to be tuned into this matchup.
I cannot wait.
People are calling this a legacy series for LeBron versus Steph. Obviously, both still in their prime, maybe nearing the end of it. We saw so many great battles when Bron was in Cleveland, Steph, of course, in Golden State. How do you guys see this one shaking?
I don't know, man. I feel like this is like while we were talking about Steph entering the conversation of greatest player of all time, like he can just stamp on at least greatest player right now if he can go into this series and send LeBron and his newly set up Lakers home, and the same goes for Bron. Bron can let him know, like, not so fast. I feel like a lot of guys have came and took their shot at the throne, but for some reason, his guy's still averaging 29, 9, and 9. Like, he just don't stop. So, like you said, I do feel like it's a legacy series because I feel like with the way these injuries are going and the way these guys are going down, it's looking like a beeline for one of these two to have another shot at adding another ring to that legacy. That at the end of the day, I feel like that's right now what they plan for, to have rings at the end. To say
I think the legacy is already cemented, and it can only be added to. It's a series for the basketball lover, for the basketball fan to actually. I'm gonna have to wait till 10 p.m. for that series to start.
Rob, you still gonna be up?
I'm gonna have to watch it.
Take a nap,
I will be watching
it
because I will be watching it because one is the Warriors that we have come so accustomed to, and we know what they can do in the playoffs. But two, because I'm intrigued to when one of the signs of greatness is that everybody talks about you. Either half of them are loving you and half of them are still trashing you, even though you had shown and you have done things that nobody has ever done before in this league, and that is LeBron's case, right? I can tell you from personal experience when I grew up going to school in Boston as a Celtic fan, and I could not stand LeBron, what he did to the Celtics. And then when he moved to the Heat, and he always won, and he was never on my team, but coming here, seeing him work on a day in and day out basis and seeing what he has to do every day to be that great player that he is.
Special.
I have to put some of the weight on the fact that I know that he has it in him to bring everybody else on that team to that other level that the Lakers need to get. Look at Austin Reeves, man. Austin Reeves is securing himself a nice little at least 4 or 5 year contract coming up.
Payday coming up from
a
Mr.
G League guy, you know?
Man,
right, Booby?
I raised my hand. Look, I'm one of those guys that
he
play
brings
with LeBron.
everybody up, and he's able to get inside these guys. I mean, you should talk about that because you've been there.
Man, I'm telling you, I'm agreeing with you. Agreeing with you. You see it, and like he knows which guys has that switch that you can flip, and all he got to do is just invest that positivity in you. Like he gonna tell you, like, oh, you made for this. Like I know you got this. I'm not worried, and he'll give you that. And then when he tell you that, you like, this is the greatest player ever. Just told me he believe in me. Can't nobody tell me nothing.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what happens. That's what happens.
Look at what Hachimura is doing, man, playing with Bron. I mean,
some people, it's not for everybody, though. That's what I will say. It is not for everybody. The right guys get with him and they blossom. And then the ones that, can't handle the heat, they get out the kitchen. But
because you really have to get cooking with that, man.
Yeah, you have to. He holds you to a standard, and understandably so. He's not playing for the same thing that we are playing for. We all playing to win, but he's playing, like we said, to be remembered as the greatest player to ever touch a basketball. So he doesn't settle for anything less than greatness, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, and when it comes to LeBron, you know, you get that. What did we call that time when we had the Booby all-time 5 star, like recency bias?
Recency bias?
That was
Yeah.
the word?
Yeah.
When it comes to the greatest of all time, I think it's always like one of those questions that doesn't have a right answer. Because like I never rooted for Michael Jordan, and I watched him play a lot, but he like I was in New York in those days, and he was killing everybody that came in his way. So I never really rooted for him or Kobe, even though I admire their work and I know their talent. But like LeBron, I saw him for 4 years in Miami, 4 years here in Cleveland, and then the rest of his career. And it's the greatest basketball player that I've seen play, because I seen it in person. Michael Jordan, I saw him on TV and a couple of times at the Garden, and you know, and yes, he won the titles and everything. But what I have seen, what he has to do, like I seen him in the lab,
Right.
and that makes up that's what throws me to say he's the greatest guy. I'm pretty sure they all work hard, but like it's a disrespect to me because I never saw Bill Russell play, and I never saw Will Chamberlain play, and Magic Johnson was a great player. So
Well, guys, we have all summer to get into these debates. For today, we're gonna wrap up another episode of Booby's World.
wait,
Great
we
stuff,
didn't pick.
guys.
Who do you pick, Lakers or Warriors?
I picked it already. Remember I told you when we had the other one, I went
Oh,
Warriors.
you picked Warriors.
Yeah,
I got Braun. I got Braun's back. I
got Braun,
I told him
too.
I got Booby left him, so I got Braun's
So
back.
y'all talking about this game or the whole series? What are we doing? You know, Ralph gonna pick both teams anyway.
Well, I'm telling you, man,
He
next
ain't
week
gonna
we're
pick a
holding
side.
Rob to picking some sides
pick a side.
on Booby's World. We'll be
All
right back
right.
for you guys next week. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Peace.
By the box way. But on this road to success, ain't no stops made. Ain't no room for doubt either, so you must believe. Cause the way I feel it, ain't no limits but the speed. I trust in me.